One of the main themes of Cormac McCarthy's novels is self preservation because defaulting to the Gnostic idea that violence is inherent within us is somewhat easy because it lets us observe our own behaviors and actions from like 50,000 feet above. But we're about to hear Cormac McCarthy now talk about narcissists more at the ground level. Quote, "It's not communication, but the shattered illusion of it that sets us at each other's throats. What we are driven mad by is our own lies. We long for communion, but we have no real belief in it. We hardly believe even in the grief of others. It is doubtful, a thing of conjecture, even in the presence of their cries. Eventually, we cease to hear them. Even in our suffering, we are narcissists. For each of us, our pain is like a gift which we make to the world, which we will not see its like again." And McCarthy is 100% correct here because the modality of consciousness that most people are functioning in right now is one of self preservation, aka light mode narcissism. And it's easy to point the finger at random people in society who are just going through the motions on autopilot and doing self preservation, which is most people. But when you actually look at people who are intelligent, who think they are doing things for themselves and making progressions in personal development in their own lives, most of the time they are closeted narcissists also. Because when we look at, for instance, the book community and the writing community, I call them the my knowledge movement, that there are people out there who are just consuming knowledge. All they do is consume knowledge their entire life. They are smart beyond measure, but they do absolutely nothing with all this knowledge they've obtained. They point things out to me I'm wrong at. They make some YouTube comments, and I'm sure in life they are super annoying and they're always like correcting people. But in the long run, they wasted their time, they wasted their knowledge, they wasted their gift because they know that, first of all, knowledge makes it easier to self-preserve. The more you know about the world, the less ignorance debt you have. And that once you start speaking knowledge and start speaking truth, you put a huge target on your chest. And then if you do start speaking your knowledge, who are you doing it for? Are you doing it for yourself and your own personal gain, for money, to get attention, to get women or men or whatever? Or are you doing it for something broader? Because this is very true like in the right-wing conservative and libertarian movements. I call them the My Freedom movement. They don't care about the freedom for humanity, the freedom of conscience. They just want their own freedom. It's my freedom. You could say the same about spiritual people. They just care about their enlightenment, not about the enlightenment of humanity. And you could pick any other subset or group, and you kind of see this same attitude happening. And so returning to McCarthy, we long for communion, but we have no real belief in it. We hardly believe even in the grief of others. And it goes back to this very occult idea that when one suffers, we all suffer. And until you can connect into that, you're always going to be in that cycle of the my knowledge, my freedom. But unfortunately, quote, "we are driven mad by our own lies." Because once you've hit a certain level of knowledge or consciousness, you try to ignore the cries and the screams and the suffering of others, and you can maybe block all that with YouTube or alcohol or weed or whatever other substance. But we've been programmed by tens of thousands of years of being, kind of humans, and then hundreds of thousands of years of living in communities with other monkeys to seek that communion, to help others. And so we have not just cut that totally out. We have, like McCarthy said, we are in our own suffering, we are narcissists. We view our own suffering as a gift. And McCarthy wrote this in Whales and Men in the late 1980s, but if you look around today, nobody suffers in silence anymore. Everyone is screaming about all their problems and their pains and their problems and actively doing nothing to solve it. They're not telling me, hey, I went through all this and I fixed it all and like this is why I'm better now. And it's like a motivational story for others. It's wallowing. It's trying to find communion in pain, which can never work. Because most people's pain today, and it's kind of bad to say this, is very horizontal. Because when we look back at the great poets and the great thinkers, they could vertically think. They could move up into higher consciousness and move down into lower consciousness. And it was mostly inward. And the reason they had the ability to do that was because they weren't focusing on the self. They were focusing on the macrocosm, not the microcosm. And this is one of the main things I love to talk about on this channel, because we haven't even solved this on, first of all, in our own hearts yet. And if we haven't solved it there, we are going to continue to be violent toward others. And if we haven't solved not hurting ourselves or like self-preserving in our own consciousness and then pushing that on others, then the environment, plants, animals are going to be such an afterthought that it's going to look like what we have today with just a total obliviousness to all of that. And I'm not talking about, political environmentalism. I'm talking about a phenomenological connection and awareness of our everyday connection with plants, with nature, with even the sky we are looking at, which is not present in most people's minds. And once again, it's because they're not communing with anything outside of themselves. And this is very easy in the Western world because we have individual rights. We were given this beautiful idea that stemmed from the trauma of oppression, from serfdom and all these different things, and from kings and queens. And we are now individuals. But when individual rights have to be granted to you, you don't have rights at all. Freedom of speech in America, if you guys live in America, we think we have the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, but all of those ideas, freedom of speech, for instance, are all subjected to judges in the court of law. In terms of the objective laws, yes, I said it, the objective laws of the universe, you can say whatever you want as a being of higher consciousness. And when that is put down in a law, suddenly we lose that ability because it can be interpreted. And so this huge insistence in our own mind on these individual rights have lessened our predilection to be able to engage in communities, to worry about others. And this is all, obviously been driven by the competitive nature of capitalism. So structurally and economically, in terms of laws, in terms of the general mythos of our country, it's all toward this individualistic drive. But eventually, that worked for a long time. And I'm not saying we need to go to some communist or socialist structure at all. I'm saying we need to go to a very singular educational awakening to something outside of ourselves. And that's what the whole point of this channel is. That's why it's called Right Conscious. Because obviously we're not just writing consciously, it's also having the right consciousness toward reality, which is one not of yourself, but of helping alleviate suffering from humanity. I should say unnecessary suffering. And McCarthy actually counters this point by saying, quote, this was right before our quote, he points out that the civil wars are the bloodiest and that most murder victims are killed by members of their own household, end quote. So McCarthy's also arguing that in these households, we are in close proximity to these people, especially in the Civil War, and we actually have no communion with them. They're right next to us. And what enrages us is that we don't have that connection. We don't have the communicative ability. And that's where I think it is that once you connect with someone at a high enough level, most of the time it will prevent you, unless you spiral down at a very high, very far, to not hurt them, to not engage in these things. When we look at the Civil War, for instance, in America, it was fought by a bunch of infantrymen that were mostly not very literate and were not thinking on their own terms. If you look at some of the war crimes that are committed that aren't really talked about very much, because we kind of like to create this beautiful picture that we went out to the battlefield and we fought and then we moved on. Both the South and the North committed some horrific war crimes. And the only way to alleviate that happening again, political polarization in our country and other countries, is obviously through education, mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional. It's not going to happen by passing certain bills or through politics at all, but rather people helping others see the bigger picture. And it's mostly going to happen online. I love in-person teaching and going to classes and all of that. But unfortunately, most people don't have the money and aren't willing or have educational trauma. So they are in their household watching videos. And Right Conscious right now has 6,000 subscribers. I'm not reaching those people. But if someone like Ariana Grande or Taylor Swift or big figures in the educational community, if the people who are always politically polarizing, for instance, like the Young Turks on the left or Piers Morgan or the Daily Wire on the right, if they started speaking and trying, instead of polarizing people, because that's what gets them views and gets them money, that's the whole business model, is to kind of create shock and have a different side to fight against. If they got rid of all that and started to educate others, then we would be in a much better place. Because when you look at the rise of polarization in America, it was actually it exactly coincides with the rise of the internet and these independent media companies. Because I know people who just spend, they wake up On the way to work, they're listening to some political people at their job. They read a couple articles, listen to a little bit more. And when they get home, as they're helping their family and stuff, they listen to a little bit more. And that goes on for years. And so when you talk to them, they think that like the whole world that doesn't kind of agree with them is the extreme other side. But what's really going on is that if they focused on that time on personal development, they could escape those polarities, connect with people, communicate with them, and kind of move through their traps that are being set, and wake up another person. All right, so what do you guys think? I know I got to hit my favorite spiel on nonviolence and awakening others through education, but I think that's at some level what McCarthy would say too, because he raised himself up through education, scientific and through the arts. He sent his son to a private art school, and I hope all of you out there are going to continue this path with me. Peace.